Hi! I've missed you so much. I've been very busy working on life things, but I'm back, and people keep asking me, and yeah.
I'm thinking I'm back.
So let's catch up on everything. A lot of this I'm sure you've heard talked about a ton, but you haven't heard it from me, which is the least important. I wanted to at least push out one more video about Starfield before the game actually comes, because it's very, very close. But I wanted to start off with the most recent stuff that's happening in the Starfield world. A little message at the end that I really wanted to get into. It's very, very important. So, let's do this.
Wanna be a renegade? Red Wolf. Red Wolf Renegade. Red Wolf Renegade.
Bit of stupid controversy on the internet lately about Starfield's main menu has been kind of the stupidest controversy I've seen in a very long time since Puddlegate. Remember that? Remember Puddlegate? The Spider-Man? It seems like a lot of people are really cherry picking when it comes to looking for things to be upset about for Starfield because it's not on their piece of plastic. But seriously, get it on PC, buy an Xbox, it's not hard. I'm just teasing, but in all fairness, stop this. Stop this negative nonsense. So let's start off with controversy. This tweet comes from someone who I won't name because I'll do my best to not give a negative people a platform. They said, the psychognomy of the physiognomy, the psychology of start screens. The start screen of a game can reveal a lot about how rushed the team was and how much pride they took in their work. Starfield's start screen either shows hasty shipping deadlines by a passionate team, overworked, or a team that didn't care. Oh boy. Well, guess who snapped back? Yes, that's right, old Petey Hines himself, the Hines man. PDH, PDHB, Bethesda. Pete Hines responds with, or they designed what they wanted, and that's been our menu for years and was one of the first things we settled on. Having an opinion is one thing. Questioning out a developer's care because you would have done it different is highly unprofessional coming from another dev. Oh! This man defending his company is beautiful because, yeah, why would you go out of your way to say, look at this very simplistic menu that I'm gonna spend hours and hours in staring at? What a waste of my time. Menus do not need to be busy to signify that the game is going to be good. There have been a ton of simplistic main menus of games that have turned out to be iconic. Look at Skyrim, for example. A lot of others have been shown as an example, and I just think this is one of the worst hot takes I've ever heard, especially coming from an ex-dev. So why? Stop this. Stop this. Personally, I love the simplicity of it. It actually reminds me of Andromeda whenever it came out. Now, I am one of the people that liked Andromeda a good bit, okay? Don't come at me, but the main menu isn't something that you're going to be sitting in unless you want to fall asleep to the sounds of Viking chants, like Skyrim. Moving on. Now let's talk about that Starfield timeline. I've seen a lot of people saying that it's spoilery, so I won't be the judge for you, but I'll just say it's telling all about the things that have happened before the game actually starts, so it's more world building than anything, but you've been warned. But stay here and listen anyway. Starfield takes place in 2330. We are beginning our timeline roughly 18 years from real life time. It's 2050. Humans first arrive on Mars. Skip ahead 50 years later, 2100. Humans are living in space. A very broad term meaning that humans are now living in ships, I guess, in space. So 50 years. So that's like from 2023, that's like 80 years or 90. I forgot math. 2156 humans arrive in Alpha Centauri, 4.37 light years away from Earth. If I'm not mistaken, in real life, Alpha Centauri is apparently the closest, which would make sense in the lore of Starfield. We're gonna go to our neighboring system. 3 years later, the United Colonies are established. Then just 1 year later, New Atlantis is founded and becomes the official capital city of the United Colonies. 2161, baby. Just a reminder for those who aren't keeping up with everything. Keeping up with everything, New Atlantis is on the planet Jemison, which is the Earth-like planet that, well, New Atlantis is on. Now, the United Colonies sort of see themselves as the true children of Earth, and As we go along, they kind of remind me of the Republic becoming the Empire. You be the judge. Sort of that militaristic group of people that see themselves as the one and only authority, and anyone who opposes them will go to war with. Foreshadowing. 7 years later, 2167, Cheyenne is settled by Solomon Coe, who founds its first settlement, Aquila City. Then, almost 20 years later, Coe invites Volly to join Cheyenne in a new alliance, the Free Star Collective. The Free Star Collective is officially formed in 2189. Now, this is when things start to get hot. In 2194, the United Colonies positions the star station called the Clinic in orbit around Dipala in the Narian system. The unaffiliated peoples of the Narian system see this as a UC attempt to expand their borders and demand the UC remove the Clinic. So the Free Star Collective is like, what is that? Can you move that? Move that like to a little bit to the left? And the UC was like, no. Because of their refusal, the people of Narian vote to join the Free Star Collective, who mobilized to protect the system in 2195. 2 years later, in 2196, in response to Free Star mobilization, the UC moves a fleet into the Narian system, and the Free Star responds in kind. I mean, it's not that kind, but it's the kind that needed to be done. The Narian War begins. The war went on for 20 years. So then in 2216, the Narian War drug on as public sentiment soured. Finally, the Treaty of Narian is signed by the UC and the Free Star Collective, ending the conflict. The term settled systems is formalized in the treaty. The Free Star Rangers are founded as an elite protective and investigative force dedicated to serving all citizens of the Free Star Collective. 54 years later, 2275, Constellation is formed by Sebastian Banks. I almost said Sebastian Bach. Original members include Chloe Bao, accomplished physicist, Aja Mamasa, the youngest member, and Sebastian's protege, Darius Andres, botanist and specialist in xenoflora, Bernadette Laurent, wealthy heiress and adventurer, Everardo Gill, former smuggler, and Kadri Tama, biologist and physician. The lodge is built in New Atlantis to serve the needs and people of Constellation for generations to come. 2305, Barrett joins Constellation. I find this so funny because it's smack in the middle of all this epicness and it just sort of stands out, so maybe there's more to Barrett. 2 years after the epic moment when Barrett joins Constellation, the Free Star Collective begins farming on the planet of Vesta in the Lunara system. By 2308, the United Colonies claims that by establishing a colony in a fourth star system, the Free Star Collective has violated the Treaty of Narian. Wow, dude. Diplomatic talks break down and the UC lays siege to Vesta, killing anyone who stayed behind. The Colony War officially begins. So if you remember in the animated shorts that were released, the one that takes place in Aquila City, you saw the people fighting in mechs. That is the Colony Wars. In the Q&A recently, they actually gave a reason why there aren't any mechs anymore, and it's pretty simple. They're illegal now. So since it's illegal, no one ever tries to do illegal things once it becomes illegal, so we'll never see them again. Constellation comes into possession of their first artifact and tucks it away in the Constellation archives. It does make me question, because if Barrett is the only one that touches it, because we do hear him say,
"You dug up the artifact, right? That means you saw it. The visions?"
So if Barrett's the only one that saw
the visions,
does that mean that the player character and Barrett are the only ones that can see the
visions?
Two little chosen one buddies running around space together. Anyway, a year later, after several years of conflict, the Colony War effectively comes to an end with the Battle of Cheyenne, as a flotilla of civilian and military Free Star Collective ships take down the major ships of the UC Navy using hit-and-run tactics. Remember earlier when I said this will start reminding you of the Rebels versus the Empire? It kind of does, but it's more like the Rebels versus the Republic turning into the Empire. Not saying that the UC is evil, but you got your rebels versus your high-tech military dudes. That's just me though. 4 years later, 2315, the UC Vanguard is founded as part of a UC response to the Freestar Collective's use of civilian ships during the Colony War. The Vanguard is the UC's own civilian navy. So we saw this again in the animated short where Kent wants to do more with his life than just be a postal spaceman, so he joins Vanguard. 2319, Sarah Morgan becomes the youngest head of the UC Navigator Corps. Though it's a short-lived position as the division is shut down in 2320, but still eager to put her training to good use, Morgan joins Constellation. And Sarah eventually becomes the chair of Constellation, meaning she's the boss essentially. Or maybe she just gets a fancy chair and she just sits in it. Although we saw her standing. Barrett finds the original artifact that Constellation found years ago, and he's like,
The visions?
yeah, the visions. I'm assuming this is when he got all touchy-touchy with it, and then, you know.
The visions?
Freestar Ranger Samco and his daughter Cora join Constellation, Andrea joins, and then 2 years before the game starts, Barrett convinces Constellation to purchase Star Station L868 and modify it to become a deep space scanner named the Eye. So that's all the timeline stuff because I don't want to bore you any longer. Now the good stuff. In the most recent Q&A that they had, we learned a lot about Starfield. So I'm going to pick a few of the ones that stood out to me and touch on the ones briefly that might mean something to you. So we learned that there are 20 companions in the game that are all at least named. Now, 4 of those we know are from Constellation, and I think all 4 of them in Constellation are the only romanceable ones, and I really hope this is wrong. Knowing exactly who we can romance kind of makes you walk into a room and say, which one do I want? Instead of actually having a relationship with the character, like in Mass Effect, talking with them, and eventually realizing, wait, are you like into me? Very excited, there's going to be a ton of followers, and I can't wait to see who they are. I touched on this in my last video when I was speculating, and it's confirmed. Jail. You can go to jail. Space jail. Apparently it's going to be very similar to how Skyrim was. You can get in trouble, they'll run up to you, grab you, and tell you how you've
Violated the law.
and how you can,
Pay the court a fine or serve your sentence.
and then you can either escape or whatever you think you need to do. So we knew that you could have parents, but they have confirmed when you create your character, your parents will look like you, depending on what you look like. Very, very cool, tiny little detail. I love this. You can buy homes in the main capital cities. This I love because it does make it feel like you actually have a home, not like a I built it myself on a random planet, which is still cool. So that gives us 3 types of homes: your ship, your outpost, and your home. Crew members can be assigned to work at outposts, and you don't have to keep paying them. It's just a one-time payment. There are a few different religions: Sanctum Universum, an evolution of Christianity; the Enlightened, essentially atheists that focus on humanitarian efforts; and then there's the weird one that's House Varun, which is the Great Serpent worshippers, and they didn't really tell us too much about them, but we don't really know exactly what's going on there. So that's some of the stuff that I found interesting in the Q&A. Also, smuggling will be just like I thought it would be. He did mention that you can smuggle human organs, which is pretty sick, but I'm still betting that it's tied to different pieces of the ship that you can buy that will mask contraband up to a certain limit. I'm sure I missed some stuff, and I'm sorry, but I just wanted to say very quickly that I truly believe that Starfield is going to be very, very special, and honestly, it's going to be a lot of people's first BGS game ever. It's going to be some people's Morrowind, some people's Oblivion, some people's Skyrim or Fallout, and it's going to set the standard going forward for them to look back on 20 years from now or so with nostalgic excitement every time they hear the word Bethesda. Now, this is coming from a huge Bethesda fan myself, and as someone who really was disappointed with 76, and over the years, it kind of has come back together. Different team, mind you, but they let it happen, and I truly believe that this is a step in the right direction in many, many ways. A return to true BGS form, Skyrim in space, Fallout in space, whatever you want to call it. Starfield really is important to the Western audiences and what have you. It's a game that so many people have been looking forward to even before we even saw any gameplay or anything for it, and I'm just so excited for all the people that are excited. I'm excited for the excitement. I'm hyped for the hype, and the community that has been so positive has made this experience leading up to launch so refreshing, and I just want to shout out to all of you. You know who you are. Thank you so much, and it's been such a fun ride with all of you. Shout out to Lorefield, a great Starfield-centric channel. DeMarco Dude, an excellent YouTuber who has been covering Starfield for a very long time. Welcome my buddy Assassin to the hype train for Starfield, and my panel member Macbound, who loves everything. I'm kidding. And many more. And real quick before you go, I just wanted to say something not Starfield related, but kind of Starfield related. I was very late coming into the YouTube scene, and Starfield was really the one that got me excited to make content, and now that I'm making content, such an incredible experience. With all the positivity, I read every single one of the comments, and I cannot tell you how much it really truly means. A few YouTubers, including my friends, have made a video talking about the future of their channel and closing a chapter and beginning a new one. Well, it's a little bit opposite for me, but I felt inspired to make my own version of that, which is the beginning period. I'm always going to be covering Bethesda games and RPGs and Red Dead, The Witcher, Cyberpunk, that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to thank you all so much, and I hope you join me for the ride moving forward. And I hope these videos can brighten your day a little bit with my psychotic attitude. Or at the very least, just give you some information that's delivered in not such a formal way. Regardless, it's been an incredible time so far. Also, there's a weekly podcast, and do not feel obligated to join if podcasts are not your thing. It's just there for people to be able to communicate with us and communicate with me and sort of build and foster a positive gaming community of people who just like to have fun. Really, that's all it is. So when you see it live streaming, no hard feelings if I don't see you there. I'll stop talking now. Thank you all so much. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.